A baby is lying on their back, staring at a blank patch of ceiling, and laughing full body, breathless, completely alone, at absolutely nothing you can see. Your first instinct is delight, then a flicker of confusion. There's nothing there. No face, no sound, no movement. You look at the ceiling yourself, white, flat, empty. You look back at the baby, who is still going, chest heaving, eyes bright, utterly certain that something hilarious is happening in a corner of reality you can't access. You assume it's random, a misfiring reflex, maybe. Early nervous systems doing strange things before the wiring settles. But researchers who study early cognition have spent years trying to understand what this looks like from inside the baby's mind. And what they found doesn't just change how you see babies, it changes how you understand the earliest form of human consciousness. The most reasonable explanation is that infant laughter is reflexive and essentially contentless, a motor pattern that gets triggered by internal states, like gas, or mild physical stimulation, or random neural noise, without any corresponding experience of something being funny. This makes sense developmentally. The brain structures responsible for humor in adults, particularly the prefrontal cortex, and the regions involved in incongruity detection and social cognition, are nowhere near mature in a 3-month-old. If the cognitive machinery for funny doesn't exist yet, the argument goes, then laughter can't be about anything. It's output without input, sound before meaning. Here's the problem with that theory. In 2013, researchers at the University of Portsmouth, led by Caspar Addyman, conducted the largest systematic study of infant laughter ever attempted, gathering data from over 1,000 families across 40 countries. The study found that infant laughter is not random. It clusters reliably around specific categories of experience, follows consistent developmental patterns, and is more likely to occur in social contexts, even when no explicit stimulus is present. Most significantly, Addyman found that babies laugh most, not when something funny happens to them, but in the moments immediately after they cause something to happen, the moment of discovering their own agency. Not stimulation. Authorship. To understand what the laughing baby is experiencing, you have to understand what the world looks and feels like before the self is fully formed. For the first several months of life, the boundary between self and environment is genuinely unclear to the infant brain. Research from the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, published in 2017, used multisensory stimulation experiments to show that newborns have not yet consolidated a stable body schema, a coherent, continuous sense of where their body ends and the world begins. In adult neuroscience, this boundary is called proprioceptive self-modeling, and it takes considerable neural development to build. Before it solidifies, the infant exists in a state of open, undifferentiated experience, not confused, but genuinely unpartitioned. Every sensation is both inner and outer at once. What this means is that when something unexpected happens, a shadow moves, a sound arrives from nowhere, their own hand drifts across their visual field, the baby experiences something that doesn't yet have a category. It is novel, and it arrives inside a mind that has not yet learned to expect. In that gap between expectation and reality, something happens that the brain of an adult would require sophisticated social context to produce. Your baby is not laughing at nothing. Your baby is laughing at the discovery that anything can happen at all. The specific cognitive structure underlying this was mapped in a 2019 study from MIT's Early Childhood Cognition Lab, where researchers led by Laura Schultz presented infants with events that violated simple physical expectations, objects that moved on their own, sounds that came from the wrong direction, faces that did the unexpected. Infants who showed the strongest laughter responses were the same infants who, in subsequent trials, showed the most persistent exploratory behavior, reaching toward, manipulating, and retesting the objects that had surprised them. The laughter was not the end of the experience. It was the beginning of an investigation. Not a reflex, a research method. This maps directly onto what the laughing at nothing moments look like in practice. When a baby laughs at the ceiling alone in a quiet room, they are often in what developmental psychologists call a state of high internal arousal without external demand, a state of open processing, where the brain is actively running predictions against incoming sensory data with no task to complete. In that open state, the detection of any mild discrepancy, a pattern in the ceiling that briefly resolves into something, a sound from another room that doesn't match expectation, a body sensation that arrives without cause, triggers the exact response that, later in life, will be called finding something funny. The machinery is the same. Only the content changes. Not random noise, pattern detection finding the edge of its own knowledge. But here's where it gets even stranger. Infant laughter appears to function not just as a response to the world, but as a social signal directed at it even when no one is watching. A 2021 study from the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, comparing laughter in human infants with laughter in infant-grade apes, found a distinction that separates human babies from every other primate. Human infants produce laughter on both the inhale and the exhale, in the rhythmic alternating pattern that characterizes adult human laughter, from as early as the first months of life. Chimpanzee infants laugh only on the exhale. The researchers proposed that the human pattern evolved specifically to sustain social interaction. The alternating inhale-exhale laugh is, in a mechanical sense, designed to be heard as a continuous signal, giving a social partner time to respond. What this means is that when a baby laughs alone at the ceiling, the laughter itself is already formatted for an audience. The body is broadcasting, even when the room is empty. The infant is not laughing to themselves. They are laughing in a form evolved to invite someone in. So the next time you see a baby laughing at nothing flat on their back, alone, absolutely certain that something worth laughing about is happening in a corner of the room you cannot find. Remember what's actually happening inside that mind. They are running the oldest experiment in human development, testing whether the world is predictable, whether their own experience has edges, whether anything they do or notice produces a response. And in the gap between what they expected and what arrived, they found something their nervous system could only describe one way. A baby laughing at nothing is a mind making its first contact with the fact that reality is stranger and richer than any model of it. What's the funniest thing you've ever watched a baby laugh at, and looking back, what do you think they were actually detecting? Leave it below.